Brewers fans, I hope you're excited for our next guest. We've got Brandon Cruz joining us again live from Phoenix, spring training underway. And I know you were saying, Brandon, kind of the first day players have been able to practice on these backfields and interact with fans. So what's it like today out there?
Yeah, there's a different energy for sure. It's kind of cool because they had rain Monday night into Tuesday morning, and that kept them from being out here on these fields because they were all wet. But they were able to practice on their main field, the big one that's the stadium field, because they have a tarp there. So that's why they were on that field on Tuesday. But normally they're going to be back in these fields, and there are a number of them. The one behind me that you can see, guys are taking batting practice. There's another one over here, more guys taking batting practice. Then there's more fielding exercises going on the other couple of fields there. So yeah, it's different, and you should see this. Just as I was walking here, Jacob Mizorowski, the Miz, was out there, and he was among the fans, and they were going nuts. They just wanted anything they could get from him, and it was kind of cool. You can see him. He's like, I gotta get to work. I gotta go. But he did take time to sign a little bit and all that. So that was kind of funny because that doesn't normally happen during the workouts. It's normally on their way to and from the clubhouse that they interact with the players. But this time he was able to do it in between his workouts. So it was kind of cool.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about these Brewers fans out there in Arizona. Are you finding that just the state has a lot of Brew Crew, or are you finding that a lot of people came from Milwaukee and made the trip down for spring training?
It's the majority of people from Milwaukee, or at least with Wisconsin ties, that are here. You do get some people around here that just say, hey, I want to come out and see it. With where they're located, it's not as central as other stadiums are. You have a couple of places where two teams work out, like in Scottsdale with the Rockies and Diamondbacks, or in Glendale with the Dodgers and White Sox. So, it's one of those deals where here they're kind of isolated, but it's a great place, and it makes it a more relaxed atmosphere for fans. And I feel like, comparing it to the other places, they do seem to have more access here. But most of the fans here are Brewers fans that are from Wisconsin that come down here for this week. And, today they're kind of shaking their heads because it's cool, windy, and cloudy, as you can see.
Yeah, obviously fans getting more access to players. Certainly you've had a lot of access to players. So when you've chatted with them, Brandon, who do you think had the most exciting offseason and why?
Wow. Okay. I'm going to say it's a couple of guys, but then there are a number of 1As. But the first two guys I would say are Blake Perkins and Quinn Priester, because both of them got married, and both of them were able to talk extensively about that and what it meant to them. So that was pretty cool to be able to share that experience, at least hear from them about that experience and what it meant to have the off season. And remember, it's really hard to get married during the season, although Jared Koenig did last year during the All-Star break, and he would be one of the 1A guys because he went on his honeymoon in the winter. So with all that being said, I think that is what stands out to me for the best off seasons. I mean, it's hard to beat getting married.
Absolutely. Oh, I love hearing that. Obviously, another kind of fun part about spring training, sometimes you get to see the farm system at play. Not all these guys are going to go on to play in Milwaukee this season. Some will go back down, AAA and all of that. So who of that next generation of players do you really find are popping right now in spring training, Brandon?
Well, the only one that I've really noticed is Jesus Madej. He's one of their big guys down below. Like, they're expecting huge things from him, and you can just see it in his size. You can see it in the way he works, and he's a guy that really goes about it, and you notice the talent. It jumps off the page, so to speak. He's just a guy that you could watch. The other guys you don't notice as much. I mean, we've been focusing most of our attention on the big leaguers, but Madej has been around and with the big leaguers, and that's why we've been able to see him and his talents on display. And I tell you, Brewers fans, it's going to be real soon for him to make it to the big leagues.
Ooh, okay, so speaking of the big leaguers, also a fun time of spring training is seeing some of the new guys who we got in the offseason through some trades. So tell me a little bit more about Jet Williams. Okay, who is he? Where does he fit for our squad?
Jet Williams is well, he's one that stands out as well. He's short, and Pat Murphy has had fun with him about. So when you see him, you kind of go, "Oh, you're a big league ball player," but then you see him on the field, and he's good. He's an infielder by trade, but he has played a little outfield. Expect him only to be an infielder. He will compete a little bit at third, even though Luis Rengifo should have that job. But he could be at short, or he can move over to second. Say there's a problem with Joey Ortiz at short, or Bryce Terang at second. And he's a baseball player. Just talking to him, you get that feel. Certain guys, you can tell what sport they play and what their background is. He's all baseball. It's really easy to see, and he's excited to be here. Once the trade was announced, he came over with Brandon Sproat, and so those two are pretty close because they had spent time in the Mets organization together, and now they're here. And just looking at the way he walks around the clubhouse, he's a natural fit here. So I think that's a good thing for this team. And listening to Pat Murphy talk about him too, he raves about what Jet Williams will be able to bring to this club.
Yeah, I know you were talking to Pat Murphy earlier on today. So what stories are kind of in the works for you today that we can catch later on Fox Local?
Well, you definitely want to stick around because Pat Murphy has a very unique picture on his desk, and he goes into great detail about why he has it and what it is, and only the way Murph can. We talk about Perkins wanting to, really take a leadership role. We'll also hear a little bit from the Miz and what he's looking to do this year after coming back from such an explosive start in the big leagues. And then a couple of other things. Murphy's going to talk about the importance of the coaches. There's been a big shakeup among his staff. Not that guys have left, but he's just kind of refigured them, and guys are taking on different roles this year. So he talks about that importance. So we'll have all of that for you on Fox Local and Fox 6 News.
All right, lots of reasons to stay tuned. Before I let you go, we've got one more softball, I should say, of a question, which is, what is the best meal that you've had while you've been down there in Arizona? I know your photographer seems to have been enjoying many a good meal.
Yeah, it's hard to put them up there, but I would say that I have an aunt and a cousin that live down here, and I was able to join them for dinner, and I had the spicy shrimp deal. It was fantastic. I couldn't argue with that. And then, and then last night I had short rib tacos, which were pretty good as well. So those are the top two so far.
All right, that sounds delicious. Suddenly I am very hungry, Brandon, but we have loved getting to check in with you throughout spring training. So thanks again for joining us today on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Anytime. We'll talk to you again.
Talk to you soon. Again, that's our very own Brandon Cruz reporting from Arizona, although it looks like they might be getting some more rain. I saw a lot of rain clouds around Brandon. I was also looking up because you would think going from Wisconsin to Arizona in February, you're walking into much warmer temperatures. But of course, right as he's gone, we've gotten our own warm temperatures, expecting 60s today.